Let me just start the disclaimer by saying this video is in no way against the legalization of pot. I believe pot should be legalized. I believe it should be, I would say regulated by the government, but I'm afraid the government will just turn it into fucking cigarettes, pump it full of horse tranquilizers, and people will die at the same rate in which they die due to cigarettes. So, you know, take what you will there. But basically, I want to tell you about an experience I had within the last few days that was totally fucked, and it kind of reminded me of why I don't smoke weed anymore. The other day, yours truly, straight arrow as I am, ingested a pot brownie. And it was fucking horrific. Mainly because when I was younger, or more like a few years ago, my dog had to get put down due to terrible fucked up circumstances, which can't go into too much detail about, but it basically fucking shit and fucked with me a lot. And I did not come out of that whole scenario totally unscathed. I ended up, I don't know what the fuck you would call it, because I won't say like, oh, I had a mental breakdown, or I had this, or I had that. But basically, this thing developed in my head, which the doctors called occipital neuralgia, which, as best as I could sum it up, just means that the nerves in, like, the base of my head, like, right about there on both sides, got fucked. And a number of things could set them off, like, you know, I guess general sadness, a lot of caffeine, but one of the biggest fucking triggers was also one of my favorite things in the world, marijuana. Marijuana. I don't know why I said that so sloshily. Marijuana. Which means that I could not smoke weed anymore, because every time I smoked weed, I would have such a horrible fucking calm down from it that it would make me utterly... Like, I almost gave myself a heart attack one time. I landed myself in the hospital, freaked the fuck out due to this. And the other day, I ingested a pot brownie, once again due to unforeseen circumstances, and I had the worst fucking flip out ever. Now, for those of you who desire to try pot, I'm going to run over some things with you. And it's not going to be, you know, like freakouts or anything. No, I'm sorry. Totally wrong. It's going to be about freaking out. But note that if you smoke weed, you're not always going to freak out. You may never freak out. Because, you know, it affects everybody differently. I'm just telling those of you, in case you do freak out, just a thing to, from personal experience, to calm you down. Because I have nearly landed myself in the hospital multiple times doing it. I mean, I don't smoke anymore. I'm not ingesting edibles anymore. I am totally separating myself from it entirely because, along with the occipital neuralgia, it just fucks me right in the head. And it's a horrible feeling. So, when you have edibles, well, like, when you're going up, you're flying, it's all good, it's all dandy. And then when you come down, it's absolutely horrible. Basically, when you're coming down from a bad high, at least this is all going to be my personal experience, you feel like you're going to die at any second. Your brain is basically telling the rest of your body, hey, you're going to die now. No, just kidding, you're going to die now. And then, imagine that happening for a good 8 hours or so, maybe more. A good couple hours, it just keeps happening. And it's horrific, because basically at that point you're like, well, I was over at my friend's house, and the first thing I'm thinking is, like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I gotta get home. Because the first thing on your mind is you're gonna die, and the second thing on your mind before you die, at least for me, is, okay, if I'm gonna die, I gotta die, like, around my family. Like, in case I gotta say, like, goodbye or something. Which obviously isn't the case when you're high. Obviously, nothing's gonna happen. Your brain is just freaking out, giving yourself... That's all part of the bad trip. You think, you know, like, this is the end, that's it, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, you flip the fuck out, freak the fuck out, and you basically just want to get home. So you get home, finally, and you basically just, what my biggest thing, because I've had to deal with these terrible trips time and time again, is I go home and I find a dark, cold place and I close my eyes and I just try to go to sleep. That's the biggest thing. Just try. If you're in the middle of a bad trip, you have to, no matter what you feel, whether it's an ache in your head, something wrong in your body, whatever the hell, ignore it. You just need to ignore it. Slow your heart rate, which basically just means chill, just fucking chillaxing. Just totally relax. Don't freak out, don't anything. And what you need to do is find a cold, dark place, close your eyes, and go the fuck to sleep. And if you do that, you will be fine. Granted, that's going to be very hard when it feels like someone's taking your head, shaking it like a fucking, like the 8 balls would tell you your future. It will be hard, but the main thing when you're going through a bad high is to just fight through it, which I know is very basic advice. Honestly, I don't have anything like coffee might accelerate your heart, so I wouldn't suggest that. Because the biggest thing I think you have to worry about is taking a heart attack when you're in the middle of having a freak out, and that means slowing your heart rate, chilling out. Otherwise, you're gonna land yourself right into the hospital, and then they're gonna take you in. They're gonna find out, shit, you got reefer in your blood or your system or whatever the fuck, wherever it goes. Not sure if you'll get in trouble, but I don't know New Jersey laws. But the whole point is basically just to keep yourself calm, keep yourself conscious, and try not to give in to the freak out, because your brain will start just coming up with shit to fuck with you, make you feel like this is the end. And the whole point is just fighting it. And I know that sounds like you say it, and then it's like you actually get to that point. It's like, but how can I fight it? It's too strong. Let me tell you, it is possible. It is not easy, not in the slightest. Unless you're one of those people who gets high, feels like you're gonna die, just sits there and takes it and is like, haha, I secretly enjoy this. I'm one of those people who's like deathly afraid of bad trips, which is why I don't do it anymore. Ingesting the edible the other day was a total mistake. Just a good reminder as to why I don't smoke weed, and how I suggest people with really, really bad nerves don't ingest weed. Once again, this is not like saying weed is totally bad or anything. I do completely agree that they should legalize it. Or THC even. THC. Like if that's your thing. Yeah, but that's it. Basically, if you're going through a bad high, you just gotta struggle through it. Find a cold, dark place. If you gotta place a towel on your head, if you gotta eat something, anything, like even talking to people. For me, talking to people doesn't help. If I talk to somebody, my mind keeps bouncing back. I was able to keep myself relatively distracted this time, which is, I believe, the key to how I got through it. That and falling asleep early. Because it does. The amount of strain that it puts on your body, you just feel like exhausted afterwards. So I'd say that's a big part of it. But that's my advice. If you ever end up in that situation, I would say, which is really bad advice, I would say like, if you feel really bad or this, that, or the other thing, you should definitely contact a doctor or your parents or so. I mean, if you feel like really not okay, you should probably contact your parents or tell your friends. Luckily, my friends aren't fucking assholes. They aren't the type of people to, as I'm flipping out on the floor, pull out a camera, videotape me, and go, haha, look at this fag. They're very, very understanding, very nice people, very responsible people. Responsible folk. And so I wasn't really, like, super afraid on that level of, like, anyone, like, not taking advantage of me, but, like, I wasn't really afraid of them, like, oh shit, like if I need a ride home, they're not going to be able to give me a ride home or something like that. it all worked out, which was pretty nice to see that is still in place. My fucking computer just went dark. It's just like, I think it's a good wake up. It's a good reminder for shit. Because it made me, first off, it reinforced why I don't smoke weed anymore. It made me very grateful for a lot of things. Primarily not being dead. Just because it makes you feel like you're gonna die. And it's an absolutely fucking horrible feeling. And it kind of just jolts you, you know, like when you go through like a near-death experience. And it's like, oh, I'm so glad to be alive. I almost got hit by a car or something like that, you know. Just makes you feel very grateful. And, yeah. Feeling very grateful for today. And the day before yesterday and the day before that. So, that's my advice. If you ever end up getting high, either on purpose or by accident, you end up getting you end up going through a very bad trip. That's my advice. Cold, wet places, try to go to sleep, and if you can't, distract yourself like the fucking Dickens. Distract yourself if you can. As long as you can take your mind off of it, it cannot affect you. Way easier said than done, but hey, like I said, it affects people differently. More people can handle it than others. And unfortunately, I'm just not one of those people. So, not my cup of tea anymore. So, I hope this helped in any way, shape, or form. If not, I hope you enjoyed hearing about how much of a bitch I am having panic attacks when I smoke weed. When I used to smoke weed. Yeah, and I think that's going to do it. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all next time.